Hi, welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I am your host. And this is a place where we share experiences, not opinions, not academics, and not theories. We share real life experiences of people who have been there and done that in terms of whatever it is we're talking about. Today's episode is about adventure, which is really, really wonderful, finding better adventure. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to my guest. Her name is Pat Wetzel, and she's the author of a new book called Bump in the Road. It's amazing. Again, listen, we're not here to sell you books. We're not here to sell anything, but it's a wonderful book. She's a wonderful person. And we're going to talk about finding better adventure. Isn't that cool? Pat, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Yay. So listen, why don't you introduce yourself, please, and let the folks know a little bit about who you are.
Oh, well, that's a long story, but
Trying to make it short.
the short version these days, I'm an author, I'm a podcaster, I have a podcast, Bump in the Road. And kind of like John, I explore how people experience, manage, and navigate life's bumps. And I do that because nobody gives us a roadmap for this thing called life.
No
And we've
kidding.
all hit so many bumps, and there really isn't any guidance. So, through the power of story, I think we can share and learn so much, just like you share experiences on this podcast.
Yeah, you're about sharing experiences too, and that's really wonderful. Wonderful. So listen, we you kind of told me a little bit. You gave me a one-liner, and I didn't want to know anymore. I just want to go right into our episode. And you said, Let's talk about finding better adventure." So I'm going to give you the floor, and let's just go. Go for it, Pat.
Well, adventure has been a key component of my life, both good and not so good.
Yeah.
I think adventure is really critical because it gets us outside our comfort zone. And when we get outside our comfort zone, it is amazing what can happen. So, one of my personal favorite adventure tales was transitioning into high performance sailplanes. Now, sailplanes
Wait,
are
say that again. Say that again. High
transition
performance what?
sailplanes.
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 Okay, great.
Now, a sailplane, what is a sailplane? It is a white fiberglass, beautiful, more or less handcrafted aircraft that can go hundreds of miles on a breath of air, climb to over 30,000 feet, and it has no engine.
Unbelievable.
It's beautiful. It's a really esoteric racing sport, actually, and it's just gorgeous. If you can imagine soaring down a mountain range at 200 miles an hour, it's incredible, just incredible. But you don't get to soar 200 miles an hour down a mountain range from the beginning.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah,
of start
yeah,
a little more slowly.
yeah. Now you're a pilot?
Yeah.
You're a pilot. Okay. So you missed that minor detail, I think, or I missed
Yeah,
it.
well, I
Yeah.
fly these
Okay.
things.
So
I'm
so
a
you became
pilot.
a pilot. Awesome.
Um, and through a series of events, well, I showed up at the airport one day. I'd been flying with a group of lawyers, and one of them was a World War II naval aviator, and he taught me to fly. And once I got beyond the basics, he had a single seat 126, which is kind of a cult aircraft. And he had it weighed and balanced just for me. So I could show up without having to worry about running all the math and just kind of take off, do a quick pre-flight and take off. Well, I'm driving to the airfield one day, right? This beautiful, beautiful day, mid-Atlantic region. It was actually sunny, blue skies, clouds popping everywhere. Perfect soaring day. And I showed up at the airport and none of the planes were there. They had all been allocated to an air show, and that did not include me.
Oh
I was
no.
furious. I was so angry. I mean, aviation after a point becomes an addiction, not a sport.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I was well on the way there, trust me. So I decided I was just so angry. And I'd heard about a group that flew out of another airfield about an hour south. So I got on the phone, figured out where they were, got in my car and drove down. And I drove into this airport, had four runways. It had a fuel depot, it had multiple hangars. And sitting on the runway were about 20 beautiful white fiberglass ships ready for launch. And I just watched one launch and my heart went right, just followed it every foot of the way. And I realized I had to join this club. Only they didn't have any planes either. I had to buy an airplane to do this.
Oh, wow.
So if I'm going to buy an airplane, I'm going to buy a good one, right?
Wow.
So fast forward, I have bought this incredible airplane with a pedigree. It was originally built for Carl Streetic to fly in the Worlds, and he came in second in this plane, and everybody who raced knew this airplane because it was quick, it was nimble, it was just a spectacular plane. And she shows up at the airport from the people I bought her from, and it's my turn to fly. Well, I have no idea how to fly this plane. It has 6 flap settings and retractable gear, and I've never flown anything like this. So it was a moment of total terror. I mean, just total terror.
Wow.
The only way I can describe it's a combination of, when you're in a dream and you're running and your limbs don't move.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of that in
Yes.
reverse. I was,
And you have a great big wolf chasing you. Yes.
yes,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And with this, it had that kind of feeling, but it was as if I had to pass through like this sci-fi barrier, like this gooey barrier or something. And the barrier was my own fear. And I got into the cockpit and I settled down, and you sit way back. So it's hard to even see over the dashboard because this plane is built for a large man. At the time, I was a small woman.
Hmm.
Anyway, getting into that plane that day and flying it was probably one of the most frightening, terrifying, adventuresome things I have ever done. But I did it. And it ended up opening the door to so many other adventures I can't begin to tell you. But I tell that story because adventure in that sense is grandiose. Oh my gosh, soaring is so,
Unbelievable.
but you can have adventure in your everyday life. And I think from that, I take the mindset of finding adventure. And it can be small. It can be a matter of being very present and noticing the hummingbird in the garden, or the sun on your skin, or the sway of a hammock. It can be finding something new to make for dinner, driving a different way. But I think that integrating a sense of adventure into your life is just so important.
Pat, I love that. I love that. I love your story. I love the high performance speed planes.
Sailplane, big sail,
Sailplanes. Okay,
sail.
good. Yeah, and a couple of things. You said that aviation becomes an addiction. And I became a paragliding pilot
Uh-huh.
a couple of years ago, and I went every single day. Oh my gosh, just the freedom of flight
Yes.
is unbelievable. And then I and then I took a trip to Ecuador on a paragliding trip, and 3 trees. I landed in 3 trees, or crash landed in 3 trees. You're not supposed to crash land on a
No, you're
paraglider into
not.
anything, but 3 trees, the Pacific Ocean, um, uh, a building, and a near collision with a semi truck, and on my trip home, I was thinking, God, what a great trip, what a great trip. And then I started reflecting on all the things that all my near death experiences, and I came home and I hung up my glider.
Oh, no, you miss it?
I had to go cold turkey on. Oh my gosh, I miss it so much. I miss it so much. But another thing that you talked about just real quick in your story is that you hit a barrier, and the barrier was your own fear.
Yeah.
And fear is a barrier for almost everything for everybody, right? And it's breaking through that. And I love the idea of looking for adventure. Adventure doesn't have to be this huge, gigantic thing. And one of the things I talk about is building that muscle of curiosity.
Yes.
Right? It's a muscle that we've lost as children. We've learned it out of us. And it's that curiosity that takes us moving forward and allows us to learn new things. But we're so fearful of 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 people of being curious. That's a stupid question, right? Or boy, that's a dumb idea. We're conditioned as we've grown up to accept negative commentary, negative feelings, and your whole adventure um, thesis is also about curiosity. So I love it. I love it. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a great big scary thing. So
Not at
what can it
all.
be? Yeah.
Curiosity is what makes your life interesting. And there's no wrong, right or wrong here in curiosity. I think we need to get rid of this idea, this Instagram perfect world where everything you do is right and perfect and wonderful.
Yes.
Because you know what? Life, that is not life. It is not like
It
that.
isn't.
No, and curiosity will take you great places. And you may find that they take you places that you don't like. That's okay. You learned that, and you learned that about yourself. And now you can take your curiosity in a different direction.
On adventures, on
Absolutely.
lots of
It's like,
adventures, you know. So what are some what give us some examples of adventures, some simple adventures that folks can embark upon.
do something really simple. Drive a different way. Don't get into your comfort zone rut of going the same place, the same way, and not even having to think about it. Just drive a different way. Take a walk on a regular basis and notice what changes. Pay attention. The weather is fascinating. You just look at the weather forecast. Oh, okay, it's going to snow today. But think a little bit more about it. Be a little more involved. Notice as the wind shifts, as the high or low moves in or out of the area. There are so many little things in our daily lives that are miraculous, really.
Miracles are happening every moment. It's just that we don't look at them that way. And yeah, and when you take a different path to work, or you get out of that routine, and it's amazing what you can discover, right? I mean, we discovered one of our favorite restaurants that way. Hey, let's go this way today, kind of thing. And yeah, that's wonderful. That's
Oh,
wonderful.
and I think getting out of your comfort zone is so important. I tell a story. It's not my story. It belongs to Eric Weinmayer. He was a guest on my show. And Eric is a famous mountaineer. He went blind at 16. So you can imagine what that was like, the anger, the isolation, the uncertainty. He went on to climb Everest, the seven summits, and to kayak down the Colorado River Rapids. Eric tells a story. Also, I want to mention he started a not-for-profit called No Barriers USA that focuses on expanding the comfort zone of disabled people and veterans primarily. It's terrific, just
Oh,
like the group.
wonderful.
But he tells this story, and he says the world is divided into three groups. Okay, we have quit, and we've all been part of each of these groups, and we all move between all the groups. The first group are quitters, self-evident. The next group, the vast majority of people are campers. They want the status quo. They never want anything to change. They're fearful of change. And in all fairness to them, they may be tired of sticking their head outside the foxhole and getting dinged again and again and again. So they've just decided to avoid that. Then very few people are climbers. Now, you can't be a climber all the time. It would be too exhausting.
Hmm.
But those are the people that are deeply curious, that are willing to step out of their comfort zone and create a really authentic and unique life for themselves. And I would wish that for everybody. And I think whatever it is that keeps you camping, take a hard look at yourself and try to figure out what could you do to just pull up that tent for a day, for an hour.
Or for a moment.
Really?
Or for a moment. Yeah, it doesn't, when we think about the terms, the phrase out of your comfort zone, we at least I automatically go to something like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to get out of my comfort zone. And it becomes this big hairy thing, and it doesn't have to be a big hairy thing. Brush your teeth with your left hand. Yeah,
Really?
or you know what
Really?
I mean? I mean, do something every day. Say instead of walking down the street and just with your head down and your eyes straight forward, look at somebody and say hi. See what, you know what I mean? That can be scary actually. But brushing your teeth with your left hand or whatever it is, it doesn't have to be scary. And I once listened to a speaker who was, and I forget his name, but he was one of the people that Indiana Jones was kind of patterned after. And one of the things he told the group was, nobody goes out for an adventure. He says, because adventures are simply unplanned inconveniences that happen, right? And you think about it coming from a man like that. But I do believe, to a certain extent I agree with that, and another extent I don't, because people actually go out for adventure, right? And to your point, do it. Do it. It's not just an unplanned inconvenience. But yeah, I love that. Being out of your comfort zone, going out on adventures, and these things can be very, very easy. And it's amazing how it can change your perspective just by doing that.
Turn off the TV and read a book. Books are adventuresome.
Oh my gosh, you talk about getting out of my comfort zone. Are you kidding me? Read a book instead of watching TV? But yeah,
That's
you're
a little
right.
extreme. You're right.
Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. This has been wonderful, Pat. This has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You got anything else?
No, go
Okay.
drive a different way. Go be curious. That's what I have. Be curious.
Be curious. Be curious. Finding better through adventure and curiosity. I love it. I love it. And Pat's book and podcast again are called Bump in the Road. So check it out. Check it out. Listen. Go onto her podcast and listen to her because she's talking with lots of people all the time. And so yeah, Pat. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. I had a lot of fun. And everybody, again, my YouTube channel is Finding Better Podcast, and you can find more information at my website at johnsuzuki.com. Pat, thanks again. And
Thank you.
y'all out there, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.